Yeah. Welcome to another episode of One on One with AV. I got the last traditional man on the motherfucking planet in the house,
Man, what's
Mr.
good?
1950, man. I appreciate you for being here, man.
Oh
Yo,
man, I appreciate it, man. I
man,
always fuck with my nigga, man. Good
listen,
shit,
listen,
man.
listen, man. Listen, man. First things first, I always said, this is one of the few cats that not only is underrated, but took a chance on the homie, not afraid to let another nigga shine and not and see things beyond what others most people couldn't see, man. So I appreciate you for being on here.
I appreciate you, bro.
You already
And
know.
and we rocking, man, to the end of time, man. Let's roll. You know what I mean?
Let's
Let's
go.
get
Yeah,
out, man. You know what I mean?
yeah, let's go. So I know time is money. We got a lot of hunting to do. So do me a favor, 50. For those people who don't know, tell my audience who you are and what is the silverback lifestyle.
Well, they call me Mr. 1950. The reason why they call me Mr. 1950 is, I'm traditional, man. I believe in old school rules. I believe in family. I believe in understanding gender roles. I believe in understanding as men how we have to put ourselves in position to win. I think society's created a persona of us being in a very servitude position when it comes to hunting down women or hunting women or being in women's space. We have to pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
The silverback lifestyle is pretty much, man, I'm an aggressive type of person, man. And I think there's space in this world for aggressive men. I create a space for aggressive men and let them know, man, we out here.
We outside.
Um, you know what I mean? We
Yeah.
out here, man. We not we don't need to be docile. We don't need to be submissive to nobody. We check men and women.
Mm-hmm.
We also, man, say what we want, do what we want, and live how we want, man. We
Let's
got one of these. We only
let's
got one of these, man.
yeah,
And
y'all niggas need to stop acting like y'all live
yeah,
twice. So
yeah.
yeah, let's give it to him slow, 50. Yo, hold up, cause like you said, you man. So let me ask you this, man, because you coined the phrase "fix my plate." Now, do me a favor, man, if you don't mind, explain to my audience and elaborate on the phrase "fix my plate." What does that mean, 50?
Hey, man. Hey, I'm gonna be straight up with it, man. So that came to me. So I always look at the world as a whole, right? There was a time where even single men would come to a barbecue or someone's house, and if they didn't have a woman with them or something, a woman's getting up, no matter if she got a husband or not, they going to fix his plate,
Let's
right?
go.
That tradition, for some reason, that tradition went to the wayside. But on the other end, the expectations for us to walk women to their car without even knowing them, you know what I mean, making sure they're protected in certain ways. We die for our loved ones and the people close. So the respect that's supposed to be handed to us is just not there, and I'm taking it back.
Let's
So you know
go.
what? All these men out here letting these women and these other men around you be bitch asses. You need to make sure you understand your value as a man. At least the bare bottom bones, she should be able to get up and make your plate, bro. And make sure it's the oval plate. You know what I mean?
Let's go the deep dish. Let's get
Yeah,
the
the
deep
deep.
dish. Let's get the
There it
deep
is.
dish. Let's
There
double
it
the
is.
plates up for the portions. You already know what it is. 50.
There
That's
it is, man.
yeah,
Yep.
there it is. You already know. So let me ask you this though. So you said something so important, man, in regards to it's just standard. It's customary. You know what I mean? Like when you come home being
Yeah.
hospitable, and that thing went by the wayside, and I appreciate that. So let me ask you this, 50, because in this space as a man, it's a lot. It's very linear. A lot of guys, it's either black or white, and there's a lot of non-negotiables. But what do you think? Because you being silverback lifestyle, an aggressive,
Mhm.
masculine man, when is a woman at her strongest, and should a man seek strength in a woman?
So I think a woman is very strong, right? And yeah, I mean they're built to be with us, so they're gonna have some strength, right? But the strongest a woman can be is when she's led by a strong man. You gotta understand, sometime a woman's life, well, not gonna say sometime, a woman's life most of the time is in chaos. And if you really look at their life as a whole, you know, from the girl trips, from the drinking every week, they tipping glasses, they spending a lot of money, they try to keep up with the Joneses, you know. Then you got a small percentage that they claim that's, you know, these strong independent women, but they're not independent because they still want man tradition, right? And at the end of the day, women have to understand when to yield to the man, and most of the strength comes in submission. So a lot of women think that's a weakness, but most women that are very submissive to their strong man and strong masculine man, that is the strength right there. It is very much strength. And also too, if I was to die tomorrow, let's just say you was in a relationship, if you was to die tomorrow and your message is transferred to your kids, that's strength. She's going to make sure that your legacy lives on through your kids that you have with her, or even the memories that the things that you taught her. You know, that's strength. You know, there's a lot of things, man, that's strength. But you know, other than that, man, these women, I tell you, man, they're a little bit wild animals, man.
Yeah, they wild animals and shit. And it takes a lion and a silverback gorilla to get them back in their factory settings and shit. And I like what you said, man. You know what I mean? As far as God forbid something happens to you, men always die on their sword. Women would die behind the shield. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I think, and I agree with you, I think a woman's strength is in her femininity. You know what I mean? And you got to be strong to be with a man who is strong. But see, at the end of the day, most women don't want to rely on their on actually being smart, because a smart woman will really submit to a man, so that way she ain't got to do the heavy lifting. You know what I mean? That all you got to do, because I said this the other day too, 50. We being submissive is an easy task, man. We don't really ask for much. Fix my plate, be feminine, be cooperative. You know what I mean? Be good to the kids, be good to yourself, and be good to me, so that way I could do all the heavy lifting, kill my dinner, and then bring it
be
back.
Be positive.
Yeah, be positive. That's very important too. Be supportive. So I think that's very important. So let's talk about this, because you said that women are wild animals, man. They're getting a lot of bad messages outside. Do you think social programming is real? And if you don't mind, can you give me some examples, or give the audience some examples of what social programming is, how it's affecting men, and possibly how it's, you know, affecting women?
Well, I mean, social programming started even when we was little kids. If you really think about it, you know, and I know you remember this, when you're younger and you know, play yard, both people are, you know, 5, 6, 7 years old. Girl come and hit you in the face. Wow. And what do? We going to hit them back. Wow. And you know who they chastise? They chastise the man. And the reason why they do that is they just automatically assume that, hey, okay, he you know, eventually he's going to be stronger than this woman, right? But the threat of violence for her is taken away when you're not chastising that woman and saying, hey, don't you ever put yourself in a situation where you should be putting your hand on any man. Don't
your
you
motherfucking
ever do that.
life.
You know what they're taught? They're taught if somebody gets in your face, I don't care if it's boy or girl, you haul off and you take off. And that's what these women are being taught. And the sad part about it is that the boys are being taught to fall back. Right. And so it becomes a certain level of aggression. There needs to be respect and a threat of violence from any woman, from a man. And I know, let me clarify that, because a lot of people gonna think this is crazy, what I just said. When there's a threat of violence, what does that create? Respect. It also create a bit of fear. I feared my mom. And you know why? Because I knew if I ever got out of line, that my mom was going to haul off and knock me out. Now, you don't want no woman walking around feeling like you gonna haul off and knock her out. I'm talking about the mentality from a young person, believing that a man can knock you out needs to be in your head at a very young age. That needs to happen. And then if you also look at another social engineering, they market towards women. They market towards women to spend X amount of dollars. Yes. So what that does is it drives up their price in the market to believe this is what they need in order to be happy. So a lot of these men, a lot of these men, they say, what did they say? Black men are making what, 42 to 45,000. Black women are making about 42, $41,000. Let's a little less. A man, if he can take care of himself, he can take care of that woman on that income.
Right.
But because the market is driven towards marketing to women, women believe that, oh, that's not enough because I need X, Y, and it's like I want, not what I need.
Right.
A man can feed you. A man can take care of you even on his salary. But because the market is driven women's price standards up to believing that they need X, Y, and Z to look this way, then this is why we have women saying a man can't afford nowadays to take care of a woman. This is another part of social engineering.
Listen, make sure you guys follow The Real 1950 on Instagram. Follow and subscribe to his channel as well. The Silverback Lifestyle. All his social media handles going to be in the description of the video. You said a lot of things that were very important, man. Let me take it to the other side. Even in the cartoons, man. Even in the cartoons, I was I was watching a movie. I forgot the name of the movie, but basically, let's look at the Lion King. You know what I mean? James Earl Jones, African American man, was the king of the jungle. He was Mufasa, and Simba, the king of the jungle. And I'm not turning this into a race shit, but I'm talking about social engineering. Was a white man. Every cartoon, you know, you got the king of the jungles, a white man, and then all the subordinates, everybody else is are black. You could distinctively hear that they're black. So what I'm trying to say is social engineering is very important. So when a kid is watching it, in my view, it's looking like you're supposed to be subservient to somebody who doesn't sound like you. Right. This is why a lot of people don't like ourselves. We always looking for validation from people who don't look like us. And we're going to get into that in a minute. But I like what you said, which is very important because social engineering is geared and they know what the hell they doing. They put in not only women in power, they're putting black women in power. And, you know, they're encouraging and incentivizing black women to be even more aggressive than they instinctively can be. Now they're disempowering black men. And now, so they're putting women in power. So now that's even causing them more delusion. And now black men are getting frustrated. Men in general are getting frustrated. It's like, what the hell are we supposed to do? This is why the last traditional man, guys who really know what's what, really have.
Let me say something real quick.
All right, let's go.
Real quick about the black women. I love my sisters, but let me say this to you: they're marketing to the small percent of ratchetness. A lot of black women are not ratchet. A lot of black women hold themselves with respect. A lot of black women can be feminine to their men. A lot of black women can be submissive to their men. A lot of black women do listen to their men, but they market it to the small percentage that don't. So what we see is the blue hair, pink hair women shaking their ass on television, and we are already assuming that these women are ready. What they're insubordinate. They're talking back. They're being disrespectful. Even in their music, they're now promoting music for us to believe that our women are like this. That's not the truth. And I want these black women to understand. Y'all need to read between the lines. Stop promoting and listening to that music, because what that does is you give the market more value to promote more women like that, which sends a message to saying that you are this way when you're not. Straight up.
That is excellent point, an excellent caveat. I'm glad you brought that up, man, because you're absolutely right. They're marketing to the minority, which appears to be the majority, right? So whatever the news wants to promote, they're going to promote that. And that's going to be a representation of everyone. It's like Africa. Back in the day, people thought Africa was this dry land. Africa's is the most self-reliant nation, continent in the world, man. They don't need no oil. They don't need no resources. They're the richest continent in the world, man, aside from China. But my point is, whatever the media is going to tell you, man, it's not necessarily a representation of everything. So they will lead us to believe that black women are combative. And there are some ratchet black, let's not get it fucked up. There are a sector of women who are combative, but it's not just black, white, Hispanic, etc. But at the end of the day, I'm glad you brought that up. That is just a minority that's magnifying something that's not necessarily true in between the lines. I appreciate that. So let me ask you this, man, because you said you are an aggressive man. And I think, and I always say power is taken, not given. Let me ask you this, 50. What is the difference in your view between senseless violence and necessary violence? I know this is right up your alley.
Yeah. Well, I for one believe in violence. I think men are conquerors, but violence in general dictates war, right? And war has been biblical forever. Conquering is a part of manhood. Even when you get older, what do? We're around a whole bunch of homeboys. We get into it. We fist fight. Um, we get into verbal altercation, but we cool the next day. We understand that this is a part of the pecking order, right? War is a pecking order, but also think the physical violence of individuals are sometimes necessary. I think men used to get down with other men with the fist,
Sure.
and now they shoot you. Like I think it's senseless when it comes to young people doing things for neighborhoods they don't have no stake in. Being part of sets that don't care nothing about you but what you can do for them. There's no value for value, right? So, but I do think the violence needs to happen in order to change opinions or change minds. And even if you don't change it, we're gonna go in and make you change it. Like I be seeing these videos of these cats, talking bad to these black people, man, in certain areas. I don't condone violence too much when it comes to people who that you're superior to. But sometimes you got to make a point. You're not about to be out here disrespecting me. Words matter. And where I come from, what you say can result in some action. Right. So if you don't keep your mouth shut and you don't have no respect, you can always tell who ain't never had their ass kicked.
Facts.
Because they reckless and they ain't got no respect for nobody. And these young kids, these young men that's out here disrespectful, a lot of these cats ain't never been whooped in a day in their life, but they think they got hands. They ain't never went from the shoulders. Ain't nobody ever challenged them. They real social media tough.
Right.
But they ain't never been in the trenches and fought nobody. And I think older men need to also still try to dominate weaker men because it's going to toughen up that man. And I know people think I'm crazy when I'm saying this stuff.
You spitting
but what
facts.
I'm saying is, I do not like weak men have tarnished the brand of men. Weak men have tarnished the man of this brand we call manhood. It is a shame that they don't take care of their kids. It's a shame that they're out here pedestalizing women. They're out here not caring enough about politics in order to get into it, but quick to vote for things and let things just go to the wayside based upon your weakness and not caring about nothing but just involved. Like manhood is a community. And if you don't care about the community, then what are you? You selfish and you need to be demolished. See, there was a time back in the day that weak man was handled. Weak man was handled appropriately because they were doing something to the community that wasn't just. And it was a lot of strong men that bonded together and knew, now we can't have this mold and we got to take care of this mold. But it's not like that no more, man. Right now, a lot of men just right here, I don't want to have to deal with this sucker, man. This dude over here is horrible for our community, but we just gonna allow it to happen. Like how in the hell Kodak Black is functioning? Let's keep it all the way 100, man. How is individuals that's bad for the community? Derek Jackson, all these type of men that are putting themselves in community just to make a paper. That has nothing to do with the whole of teaching, because our job is to teach. We're not only teaching women, but we're teaching kids. And if we're not in the position of teaching, what are you doing? You're taking. And if you're taking, you're not helping. If you're not helping the community, we grow weaker and weaker in the game. You know what I mean?
The real Mr. 1950 on Instagram, 1950 Silverback Lifestyle on YouTube. Don't get it fucked up. Mr. 1950 said a lot of things, man, which are so important. If you're not part of the community, why are you here? It is our responsibility as men to stand on our fucking square and remove the cancer, remove the thing that's tarnishing our communities. You see, one thing I loved about you, man, you are unapologetically man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're an African American man. That. You love your people. You unapologetic, man. And I think a lot of men are can really learn a thing or two. You also said something very important: violence, right? Necessary violence, controlled violence, because of the pecking order. That's excellent, because a lot of guys, it's like the participation trophies. When we was growing up, like I said, you either win or you lose. Now everybody shows up, everybody get a trophy, everybody get a fucking medal. It doesn't work that way. And we are
That's because it's
ruining our
led by
boys.
women.
Right. We are ruining our boys. We are ruining males that are not men. And because of the pecking order, we've allowed women to do the heavy lifting for us, because I don't want to deal with it. I want to complain. I want to vote because that seems like the popular vote, not knowing what it's really going to do to the fucking community. Excellent. Excellent. So let me ask you this, man. You said, let me kind of segue into this. You said you have you also coined a phrase on your TikTok, on your Instagram as well. Bad for the brand. There's a lot of guys like the Derek Jacksons you mentioned. Give me some examples. And what do you mean by bad for the brand? What exactly does that mean?
Well, bad for the brand is not caring about the community. They don't care about the community. They're representing something that is that as a whole can destroy parts of our community. They will never destroy the man though. But they're making it harder for us to put ourselves in position to win. So bad for the brand is not caring about the community, like Dwayne Wade, right? It's a prime example of not caring about the brand.
God.
Will Smith. I mean, these guys are just out here disgusting. But then there's also a group of men that portray themselves like women. Like they don't want to take the male role, because that's too hard to be a man. You know, it's too hard for us to take some on the chin. It's too hard for us to take accountability. It's too hard for us to work hard day and night, be away from our families, but making sure we provide for everybody. It's too hard to take everything on these shoulders that God's created bigger than everybody else's, so we can take it. So you know what I'll do? I'll rather be one of these soft men that just agree with women and live in their chaotic world in order to make a point that, you know, men need to be different. Like, you know, like this phrase, toxic masculinity, for prime example, right? That was only created to slow us down, because we making a comeback. You know what I mean? We making a comeback in a way.
Let's go. Yeah.
Understanding and we're taking our communities back. So let me say this really quick, because I wanted to say this, and I'm gonna be saying I got a show coming up in the next hour or so, but I wanted to say this, man. I think the strong men need to band together. We get rid of all the weak men. We take all the women and the children with us and start our own colony again. Because what happens is that they're so bad for the brand, and this is how it was done before.
Yes.
Like if you were weak, you wasn't having no woman. You wasn't having no family. You don't deserve one. You don't deserve one, bro.
Let's go.
And that's how it is. You wasn't moving like a man. You was not ever going to be presented with something in your life that's of value, and that was a woman. Straight up.
Straight the fuck up. A lot of you dudes don't deserve half the shit what you have. And 50 said we got a band together to take that shit back. They did it to the Indians. They did it to our people. And now it's time for us to kind of filter things out, and we making a comeback. That's a big fact. So that kind of segues into this, 50. What's your take on domestic dads, quote unquote? You know what I mean? Domestic dads. And what I mean by that is women are under the impression that they're saying it's time to empower men and domesticate them so they can walk in my shoes and know what it means to do the chores, do the things, and take care of the children, while the woman decides to pursue her career aspirations. What's your take on domestic dads?
Yeah, that's another form of bitch assness, I call, right? So hey, let's just keep it all the way real, right? So what they're saying is that the roles of a family should reverse based upon a woman being out of order. See, a woman's natural, a woman's her number one job and number one role was to help the man. And if you got a problem with the way you're represented in the Bible, tell God to pull up.
Woo!
You know, don't come in. Don't act like that we created these rules. Right. You know, then you got simp men saying, "Oh, you're skipping over chapters." It says love the woman, like Jesus loved the church. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with loving your woman, but she's earned that position.
Let's go.
Oh, well, it also says things in there that, you know, when you find a wife, you find a good thing. Yeah, she's good, but she's only great after she gets me. And it's a difference. There's a difference in this game that men don't understand.
Mhm.
The understanding of the value of yourself, man.
Right.
Understanding that the value in yourself is so important, man. It it's crazy out here, man. It's crazy, and I'm disturbed almost, man. It's almost disturbing to see what's actually going on. You see it collapsing right in front of you. But the
Yeah.
social media is enhancing that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's extremely frustrating, man. And I like what you said, man. You know, God forgives, I don't. You know what I mean? Again, the
Yeah.
woman's strength is in her femininity. A man's strength, like I said, you know, I was talking to shout out to Kay Zag, and I was like, yo, what's harder, managing one or one woman or multiple women? And it's harder to manage one woman because you got a man. First of all, one woman can typically be 10 women, but at the same time, it's in her strength, right? And again, I truly believe a woman's true strength is in her ability to know that she's strong, but she understands the big picture. She understands that being submissive will allow her to have a better life than she could possibly have even by herself. I think that's
Mm-hmm.
very important. So let me ask you this, man. There's a big controversy regarding preferences, quote unquote preferences. Niggas got preferences. Fine. Now, I think they confuse the phrases. And you got to have standards. Men can have preferences. Do you think there is a difference between the word preferences and standards?
Oh yeah, it's a huge difference. I
Let's
think
go.
preference is what I prefer a woman is like, which looks like, kind of some of the things that she may, I may want her to do, when she with me. I think standards are more of, how the relationship's going to go, how she's going to treat me, how she's going to act around me, how, the like, I don't like women that cuss, right? I don't like women that use too many slang
Me
words and
either.
all. You know what I mean? I like girly girls. I like girls that will
Yeah.
come to the baseball diamond and be like, "Yeah, I don't want to grab this bat. I'm good. I'll be back here cheerleading."
Yo, me
You know what I'm saying?
too.
I don't
Yeah.
like all the I don't like all that. But see, that's a preference. Some men are okay with the women. Like, I don't mind them a little athletic,
Sure.
but don't wear it on your sleeve. There's a
Right.
difference. You know what I mean? And I think there's a huge difference. And I think a lot of men lump them together, and that's what creates a simp. That's the gumbo pot of a simp, when you cannot tell the difference between preferences and standard. Because what simps do, they believe, oh, she's fine, so she deserves the world because of her beauty. So now I'm just going to just go ahead and give her everything in this world because she looks good, even though she's not, even though you don't have a standard for her to bring value into your life. That's the gumbo pot of a simp.
Boom. Simple. Simple as
Mm.
cold. All right. So let me ask you this. So we talked about a lot of things. I got two more questions before we get up out of here. So legacy. Talk to me 50 about legacy, man, because like I said, I know that you have a vision. You're
Mm.
grinding now for your last name. And I know that you've had a good relationship with your grandfather, and you've had a lot of male
Oh yeah.
influence in your life. Can you please elaborate? Because I think a lot of guys are not necessarily putting any value on their last name. That could be because they didn't have any
Mhm.
father figures, etc. What is? Can you explain to the audience, in your view, what legacy is and how important it is for a man?
Well, legacy is everything for a man. Um, we're band together, together like brothers when it pertains to manhood. And we got to protect that brand. But ultimately, individually, our last name is everything we have. We don't have anything more. And if you look at it, these real quick, these bitch ass men that get their last name hyphenated, you're a bitch. And I want to say that because what you're saying is that she can keep another man's last name with your last name. So what is that telling me? That other man is more way more of a priority in her life to keep than your last name. Really think about what she's telling you there. She's saying my dad's last name needs to be at the forefront of your last name. And no, and this is why I'm a silverback, because if you want to do that, you marry your father. There's a difference between a man and a woman. A woman is a helpmate. She is here to help you create this legacy that's going to be great for who? Us and the family. The legacy that we carry, our last name, she incubates a baby that comes from you. First of all, the woman comes from you. She came from your rib, right? But she also is an incubator. Like we give them, look, the blessings to the women for going through child benign months of birth. I give them that, man. I don't never mess with that one. But
Word.
what I will say is that's still incubating our seed that comes from us.
Right.
That's generated from us, and we create those millions of seeds on a regular basis. But also look at the last name. Really, really look at the last name on how it's presented. Mr. and Mrs. X, Y, and Z, right? Oh, where's Miss Op? Where's Mr. Op? Everybody is categorized in a professional world, even in the private world, with your last name.
Right.
And your legacy gives them a vision of who you was and what you've created on earth. My grandfather, he always told me, a man that don't care about his last name is never been a man. He is not a man. If he cannot have any pride about his last name, he never came from any legacy that he actually cared about. I want all of my kids to care about the legacy their father created.
Man, that's real shit, man. You guys really need to make sure you guys subscribe to Mr. 1950 on YouTube. Follow him on Instagram as well. All right, so check this out. Boom. What's your take? Two more questions and we out. What's your take on labels, bro? Labels, and I'm gonna kind of make it surface level for us because I know we bigger than that. Red pill and MGTOW. I kind of know your stance on it, but I would like for your a little bit more of a perspective. What's your take on men having labels and not knowing where they are and wanting to kind of congregate? Because you talk about being a band of brothers and combining with
Mhm.
each other. Now, these guys consider themselves a band of brothers as well, but they want to have labels. And I always say the most important label a man should be concerned with is the label of man. What's your take on these
Mhm.
communities with the red pill and the MGTOW?
So I agree. I agree with you. I agree that the only label we have is man. Um, Before I'm on the panel of Real Game No Theory. Shout out to my bros. I'm gonna be honest with you. They taught me these things. I before and I've been around on YouTube for a while, but I didn't know what red pill was. I didn't know what MGTOW. So incels and black pill, all this whole stuff. So I will tell you, when you label yourself that way, what you're saying is that the trauma that has affected me to this point, I can relate to these brothers around me. The red pill represents, a certain mindset of men, but it's still F women, still complain about women. It's still, let's hold all the women accountable. And in the meantime, let's step on their face and promote what men do the best, right? Then
Right.
you got MGTOW. That's the most wildest shit I've ever heard of. What is it?
Men go
Men
their own
going
way.
their own way.
Uh,
Yeah. That to me sounds like you just hang out with each other and cuddle party, right?
Right.
Then these other pills, I'm not really too familiar with too much, but I know the rest of them are really sensitive, and I know all of them are pretty emotional. If you really look at the band of pills and these labels, they all come from emotion. They all are driven by someone's pain. And if you look at someone's pain, that is where they all want to high five each other. I mean, men don't do that, man. Men don't get around each other and be like, hey man, these women out here doing X, Y, and Z. So you know what? F them and F all these other. Man, look, man, if you really got game and you really got some game up under your belt, you rarely experience crappy women. You rarely experience that. Just
Right.
because you didn't vet the woman right, don't
Right.
blame the world for your imperfections. You know what I mean?
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Shout out to the fellas at Real Game No Theory Network,
Mm,
realgamenotheory.com. Real Game No Theory show on every Sunday, noon, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You
yeah.
said something very important, man. A lot of guys are celebrating emotional losses. Who
Mm,
celebrates a loss? We celebrate wins. We learn from
wins.
losses, but we only celebrate wins. Now, if you have issues with
Mm,
game, masculinity, go at seek 1950s services. You know what I mean? He's a mentor, he's a consultant, he's a coach. He
mm,
can kind of help steer you in the right direction. Now, Lastly, last question I have for you before we get up out of here. Now, let me ask you this, man. So, who is to blame here? The manipulator or the manipulated? Let me break it down. So, I know we don't complain about you and I we don't complain about women, but so if a woman finesses a dude, who's at fault? Is it the woman who's finessing the dude or the nigga that got? Is it the person who's being manipulated, right? Like some of these fake coaches, these fake guys that are
Mhm.
money grabbing, or the person who's actually buying into that bullshit? What do you think? Who's to blame, manipulator or the manipulated?
I think they're both sharing it, but I think the sole person is the one being manipulated. I
Right.
think you have a choice. I think you have a choice in anything you do, and if you choose to, um, live in that choice, then you got to pay the price for what that choice comes with. Um, you got to understand too, man. Like if you come to someone with vicious intent, you got to take some accountability in that too. If your mindset is to manipulate somebody, if your mindset is to be evil and disingenuous with people, um, there's a place for you, man, and you will pay for these things, man. And that's why I always try to tell people, you know, when you giving off, greatness to people and being polite and courteous and being respectful, that's also part of your legacy, man. Like I don't want to be looked at as being someone that's been mean and disrespectful to others. I'm always gonna have my opinion, and if they choose to believe it's disrespect, that's on them. But that's not what my heart is. I don't have a negative bone in my body to others.
Man, and that right there tells me that you understand yourself. You're a man who is very self-aware because again, the wildest and the strongest and the dude, they're the most calmest. Like for me, I'm very respectful. That's how I was raised. It doesn't mean I can't be disrespectful. When it's on, it's on.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So a lot of dudes can kind of mistake that for like, oh, this nigga's soft, but nah, not really, my nigga. It's just that, you know what I mean? I just treat dudes with respect, and that's something I always liked about you. You're a very dominating presence, and we encourage um concentrated violence because of the pecking order, etc. But you're a very
Mhm.
respectful dude. I like what you said too. Both are at fault, but I think because we always promote accountability as men, the manipulated tech in essence, at the end of the day, is the one that is most at fault. Now, there is also a
Mhm.
place for you women who want to manipulate dudes, you know what I mean, who want to kind of finesse
Mhm.
dudes. And this is being celebrated. The Cardi B's, put allegedly putting, things and drinks and shit like that, finessing dudes. So we don't blame women here. We want to encourage you men to hold yourselves accountable. So if you got finesse, you got to say, damn, did I vet this broad properly? Was I attracted to the ass and not look at the red flag? This is what 1950 teaches you. This is what real game is. So, man, you said a lot, man. So I appreciate you for being here, man. Before we get up out of here, man, please let
100.
everybody know where they can find you. What's up next for the Silverback lifestyle, bro?
All right, man. So, hey, man, for one, I really appreciate, man. I always love your platform, man. I tune in when I can. You come on pretty early because you're on the East, man, East Coast time, man. So it'd be early for me. But I'm Mr. 1950. You can find me on YouTube, Mr. You can find me, Mr. 1950. Just typing in anywhere, you'll find me. Um, I think what's next for me is I want to develop my channel more into doing some traditional things for men to understand it's okay to be married. It's okay to get married. It's okay to live a happy life with a woman. It's okay to, raise kids together. And if it didn't work out, co-parent, great. Be res- be respectful in those situations so you can get the best out of the kids. I think I want to gear my channel to developing the youth and also strengthening the men who ultimately strengthens the family. And that's what's next for me, man.
Man, whatever you need from me, you already know it's a phone call, text, DM, whatever you need from me, you already know what it is.
And
Game
same here, man.
recognized
Same
game, man.
here.
Absolutely,
Mhm.
man. I appreciate everybody for being here, man. Make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to our channels, leave a comment. I'll see y'all next time. Peace.
Peace.